Hello, we're here with our conversations on Monday with Chris James, our town manager, Ferdinand. Hello, mister.
Hello, hello. Hi, Prisma. How we doing?
Good. Thank you for having us here as always. We do appreciate being here. We would like to ask you about how the Leadership Academy ceremony, the end of the whole thing that's been going on.
It wrapped up this past Thursday night. We had our graduation ceremony in the auditorium of the C10 building on the VUJ campus, and we had two teams this year. We had 12 participants. In past years, depending on the projects thought about ahead of time, it probably would have been broken down into 3 teams of 4 or even 4 teams of 3. This year, our moderator for the opening session, Tanya Brothers Bridge, who's our mentor for the groups, she based her decision off of the ideas presented 2 teams of 6 because these were bigger scale projects where everybody was still going to they were going to be involved with the project. And so we decided to go 2 teams of 6. We had Rack Stars, and they are creating metal bicycle racks for parks in the communities here in Du Bois County, and an F for Ferdinand, a J for Jasper, H for Huntingburg and Holland. And they had prototypes of those as part of their presentation Thursday night. And they're working with Meringer Metals of Jasper to do the actual construction thereof. And they have been before parks boards of all 3 communities to this point, seeking permission, and have gotten the go-ahead from everyone.
Good.
Now it's a matter of dictating where to place them at. And they have ideas, the park departments will have ideas, and they'll put them in the best position they can in terms of visibility and just overall maintenance, which there's not a lot of long-term maintenance. These are a powder-coated metal, so the rusting possibility is very slim. So the particular communities are going to put down the concrete pad and then do the installation of the racks, and then they'll be used for years and years. Huntingburg, I think, is looking at a larger number. They're going to do one, if I remember right, 1 6-rack location and possibly another rack in a different part of their park. Jasper, I think they're trying to figure out which parks to put what racks because they've got numerous facilities to place them in, so they're going to figure out where to place them. Here in Ferdinand, our park board has given the go-ahead, but we've put it on pause pending some of the work with our NDOT grant program. We want to make sure we have a couple of things tied together first before we place them, so as to not put them in a spot and then have the project finished and then not have it necessarily match up with the sidewalks and the trail. So we're going to put that on hold a little bit. It will happen, just a matter of we want to put it in the most prominent location where it ties in with the walking ways to get to the bikes. But the groups did very well with their presentation. The other group, their name is Trailblazers, and their project was sort of an extension and expansion of about a 1/4-mile trail property located on the VUJ campus. To the north, I believe it's the northwest of the C10 building, there's an area that had been used in the past, but it was not really a well-defined, finished section of trail. And the team put their heads together and came up. They had a lot of different ideas, but nothing that really captured everyone's imagination. And that project came forward, and they got the buy-in they needed to go forward with it. They have done a lot of hard physical labor because they've been out actually doing the mulching work, donations from the city of Jasper with a lot of the mulch, I think 2 or 3 truckloads of mulch.
Oh.
So they can put that down. And they had photos of the before and after. They're using mulch on part of the trail, but in other areas they're keeping it as natural as possible, just in terms of the grass and dirt as they can, because that's how it flowed best. And there were a couple of areas they had, I believe it was Crimp Lumber provided some railroad ties. There's a few places where the water would cause washouts, and they didn't want to mulch those areas and then have it wash out because they would constantly, someone would have to go in and repair that. And so they're going to put these railroad ties in those places so to prevent some of that. And that section is going to connect with a bridge that is either in the process of or soon will be constructed as an Eagle Scout project. and will continue the connectivity of that whole section on the VUJ campus. And that possibly could be used in the future as part of the cross-country route that the Jasper High School team uses, because they use the VUJ campus for cross-country meets. And so this would be a little bit of an alternative route, so that they're not necessarily on the pavement as often. So it keeps them more in the shaded area of the woods. So if it's a hot day for a run, they've got some cover. Obviously, ground is not going to be as hard on the runner's legs as it would be if they're running on blacktop or something. So there was a lot of forethought that went into that project as well, but both teams did a great job and took questions from the opposing team and then others in the audience, just, how did you go about this or why that? And both teams very on top of it, and they are in the finishing stages of getting things complete. I believe the Trailblazers have one more work day that they haven't locked in their calendar yet, make sure everybody's schedule fixed right, where they're going to basically finish it off and then turn it over to VUJ / the city of Jasper for future maintenance. The bicycle racks, that's also something with the rack stars that'll be developed a little further once they pinpoint locations and get that work done. So that's one of the goals for the capstone projects, is to have them either complete or substantially complete by the time of graduation, as opposed to a hypothetical where we're going to do this and there's never really an ending point in it. We want there to be, you start it on this day, finish it on this day, roughly type of schedule, and these two teams did that this year. So we're very pleased with what they came up with, and I'm already kind of looking forward to next year to see what next year's teams will come up with their project. So they've continued to keep that bar set high.
This is a definitely incredible way of getting our professionals from all of the communities involved in something that they can all work together. And it's incredible how they are actually thinking more of a scale of bringing everybody in terms of the community, because these projects are for the community. They are encouraging, I believe they're encouraging people to, with the racks, with the bicycle racks, they're encouraging to, maybe you can ride your bicycle to the park or to the area where they are and then have a run, so it's that build on as well as the trail.
Definitely. It's not just something, and even though they're in particular locations, they don't just benefit that particular municipality or that neighborhood. This is something that anyone, with a bicycle, someone can ride their bicycle into Huntingburg or into Jasper, or from one community to the other, park their bike there, and maybe visit with some friends, ride back, that type of thing. And it benefits a healthier lifestyle and the ease of vehicle traffic as well, so you're not using as much gasoline, environment's better off. So, I mean, it's multiple benefits with that. So looking forward to how all of that plays together. And I know both teams, when they made their presentation, talked about the opportunity they were given to work with their particular group, because they come from various lifestyles and jobs and such. So they've made 5 new friends amongst their team, and then the two groups together, when we meet, it's a group of 12, so everyone kind of socializes with the other. So they've been able to expand their circle in ways that they maybe hadn't envisioned at the start of this year, and now they can go forward and build on those relationships and see how things go in the future for them.
It's definitely a networking and leadership capability or a capacity that they're involved in. I remember that we spoke with some from one of the teams. It was people who were representing the government as well as one of the corporate companies, and that's incredible to see, because perhaps in a regular basis they would have not been able to interact in that way.
Definitely. The sort of a different version of a public-private partnership that you're starting to hear so much more on in terms of funding government projects. This is sort of a smaller scale, but a similar dynamic to that.
Yeah, and absolutely. I was wondering, in terms of these projects were done really, really short amount of time. I feel like they started in the beginning of this year.
We started April is when we had our first session, and that was sort of at the end of that class was the brainstorming session.
Okay.
And by the time of our second grouping in early May, late April, early May, the two teams had been identified and had a chance to reach out via email, and then they could text and call themselves after that and have a get-together where they say, okay, let's have some ideas. And we brainstormed during that initial session project opportunities. And before the teams were even known, just throw out some thoughts. What would you like to see? And then they were able to kind of cull from that list and decide, let's try this. And it worked out very well again this year. And that's the beauty of that session, especially that first grouping, because Tanya doesn't have everybody in their official final teams. They pair up or they're in groups of 3 through the process, but you're throwing out ideas not knowing if you and I are going to be on the same team or completely different. But it's a chance to bring that forward and just see how the minds are thinking, because I can sit there and say, well, we could try projects X, Y, and Z, and none of my thoughts even go up on the board. But something totally different does go up that I wouldn't have even considered. So having all of those different minds and thought processes there, it helps expand the toolbox, if you will, and figure out what to take from and then go forward with. So it worked out very well this year.
Well, definitely look forward to having people, take part in these projects in terms of the community, taking advantage of what these projects will eventually become, and the end results. And also, I look forward to next year, because I really think this is one of the most incredible networking capabilities and just tools that are there for professionals.
And we'll have a debriefing session, our board of directors, somewhere in October, kind of look back on this year, what went well, what can we kind of tweak on.
Okay.
We've got 3 newer board members who all have actually been through the course, so they can provide a more direct insight of what they would like to see if they've had to go through the class again, what they would want to be a part of that. And then come January, we'll sit down and kind of tweak the course offerings. We're not really going to expand the number of sessions, but maybe tweak what is offered at a particular time, try to keep as timely and on top of things as we can. And then we'll start seeking applications end of January, early February of 2017, and start it all over again. So it'll be here before we know it.
Absolutely. It's definitely nonstop, and it keeps on going. And another thing in terms of Ferdinand's variety of, reaching different types of things in terms of what they goes on here. There was something on Saturday that happened in terms of the Singer-Songwriter event. That was incredible.
Yes, Folk Fest, speaking of nonstop, keep on going. That's a year-round event as well. Saturday night at the Astra in Jasper, we had our second annual Singer-Songwriter finale. We had a total of 13 acts. We had 4 in the under 18, I call it the high school age grouping, and then 9 groupings 18 and older. And we had an individual winner in each category. The under 18, it was Anna Rassi. She's a high school student out of Bloomington. I don't know if it's Bloomington North or South, but she's in Bloomington. And a tremendous performer. Had a guitar, also had a harmonica, had a little bit of a variety with her music. One of the songs that she performed was about her father, who is suffering Alzheimer's. So, these are drawn from your own personal well of experience songs. And that's what I think really caught the judges' ears as much as anything. And she was the under 18 winner. Our over 18 winner and the overall champion, if you will, is Bethany Beglin. She's right here in Ferdinand. She's been performing for many years and is a known commodity. And there was some very stiff competition in that older category, and depending on who you would have asked before the judges' results came out, probably about 3 or 4 names would have come out of the mouths of who you asked, who you think's going to win, and some would have said her, others would have mentioned other acts, and I think it was a bit of a surprise, but that again, this goes back to the depth of the talent that we had that night. And for Bethany's effort as the overall champion, she will now have a mid-afternoon slot on our main stage at the Folk Festival. She'll be sharing the I think it's the 4 p.m. is the rough time that she'll be on stage on the Next Air Energy Resources stage. She shares with the Jefferson Street Parade Band. They'll perform first and sort of lead a drum circle up to the stage and perform, And then at 4 o'clock, Bethany will come onto the stage with a nice, healthy gathering of folks up on the hillside. And so she'll really get a chance to showcase her abilities even further. Anna will have the opportunity throughout the day that Saturday on our market stage, sponsored by Kiana Woodstock. So she'll do 2 or 3 sets, a little more intimate setting, but she's still going to have a lot of exposure, and she can just kind of hang around for the day and just absorb the folk festival and throw her hat into the ring for next year or whenever she becomes over 18, because we have a bit of a time period, so you can't just win year after year, just to keep it as open as we can. But looking forward to what talent we have come up next year. We had 30 entries this year, 71 songs, and a lot of great songs, a lot of good songs that didn't make the cut for various technical rules reasons. Hopefully those folks will resubmit next year and follow the letter of the law a little more closely. But we had a great night. I think there were 260 individuals, at least tickets sold at the Astra, so it was a larger crowd than we had anticipated. It was a great night, exposure-wise for the Astra and for Next Act, to get folks into the building and use the venue, keep it active and going, and folks can kind of look at it now and see what it is, and then as they start their renovations and expansion, they'll be able to kind of do a before and after and say, well, I was there when it looked like this, and now it's like this. And they'll be able to see the on-hand as they're going along process. So it was a good night for those folks, obviously a great night for Folk Festival, and we're a month away from the actual Folk Fest, Saturday, September 17th, and we are finalizing our final vendor applications, getting the packets out to the vendors so they know where to set up and which entrance point to come in, either 18th or 20th Street, and all of the normal rules and regulations that go forward. But we're getting that tweaked and finalizing things on our website. And like I say, we'll be here 6 weeks or thereabout. It'll be Folk Fest 2016, and we'll be off and running for 2017 about 2 days after that, or something close to that point.
Well, there you have it. Ferdinand is nonstop, and there's a lot that goes on here. Definitely a variety of things, not just one thing or the other. There's a variety of things that go on.
We try to stay as progressive as we can, and after the Folk Fest is done, we've got the Rosenvolk Festival in October, Christkindlmarkt in November. So, I mean, it's the start of our busy fall season here in Ferdinand. So,
well, thank you for sharing, and we'll look forward to looking at these events.
Thank you, Prisma.
And thank you for joining us here on our conversations on Monday.